I think it's seriously possible for anybody to build a DIY off-grid or backup system just like I've built right here. And you can do it in literally 30 minutes to under an hour if you follow the steps that I do in this video. I really like this 6000 XP off-grid inverter. By the way, I purchased this. This is not sponsored in any way. I run this exact same one at my off-grid cabin as well, and I use wall mount batteries there, but then it's pretty dang heavy. Each wall mount battery is 280 pounds, and each one of these is basically 4 kilowatt hours. So total, I have 16 kilowatt hours of backup capacity and 6 kilowatts of output capacity. So the real question is, what does $500 per battery get you with the 6000 XP? This whole setup costs right about $4,000, and that's including the adapters to get split phase power as well as single phase power, the cabling for the batteries to go to the inverter. Everything here is under about $4,000. And I don't know of any solar generator system that you can purchase that'll give you the same specs for under $4,000. There are some cheap solar generator options like the Pecron E3600, but this system is very easy to put together and very affordable. So let me show you how I do that. Now, just so that you're aware, so it's total transparency, WattCycle sent these batteries out to me in exchange for an honest review. They do not get to tell me what I can and cannot say. They don't get to edit the video. They're not paying me anything. It's just honest review about the batteries. I know some people have had some balancing issues between the batteries, such as this battery reaching 30% and this one's at 60%. And so there's an imbalance there, and that this one doesn't start discharging until this one gets low enough. I haven't experienced that yet, but maybe that's because I'm not doing the right loads. Either way, be aware of that. Some people are experiencing that, but I haven't. So let's go top to bottom on what you need to put this all together. First things first is you're going to need the batteries. There is a $400 version of this battery that doesn't have the Bluetooth component to it. So if you want to save an extra $400 off of the total system, then just go for the non-Bluetooth. These are the Bluetooth ones, so they're $500 right now on sale. And I'll have the links in the description down below with any coupon codes that I have. Besides the batteries, you're going to need 3 about 9-inch to 12-inch long 2-gauge or thicker battery cables. These came pre-terminated with 3/8 terminal lugs on them. I think I got these from Windy Nation. That's just a really affordable place to buy these cables. You can also find them on Amazon. This screen that I have right here is not required at all. It's about 20 bucks on Amazon if I remember correctly. All this is a shunt. It's basically a way of tracking all of the current that goes in and out of the system so I can see how much power I'm putting in and taking out. So if you don't want to use this screen just because you're using the inverter, then omit that. But I just went and bought 3 feet of 14-gauge wire of each color so I could put it into this screen. Then I put terminal rings on the ends of all of this so it's easy to connect. Next, get yourself a T-class fuse. This is rated for the 6,000 watts of output. So here's how you do the math. The maximum output capacity of the inverter is 6,000 watts. Then the battery voltage that's going to be coming from the inverter into the batteries and vice versa, batteries into the inverter, is going to max out around 54 volts. So I'm just going to divide this by 54.4 volts. And it tells me 110 amps is the maximum that these cables need to be able to carry and that the fuse needs to be rated for. You always want to uprate your fuse. I believe the next step above this is 125 amps or 150 amps. Just don't do exactly 110 amps, go a little bit above that for your T-class fuse. And again, I just bought this on Amazon and I made this little adapter piece that goes here, but you could buy a little 6-inch piece of cable that goes from here to here. That way this block isn't taking up space around this terminal. Then I have my 2-gauge wires with this gray SB120 connector. I went with this just so I had the easy capability of connecting this and disconnecting it from the inverter. So I have the cable from the batteries, cable from the inverter, push them together, and now I have continuous power all the way to the inverter. To get power from the inverter, I just bought this split phase adapter. It's literally just a plug. So this will work with pretty much any system, and you can hardwire it or do a plug setup like I did in case I ever wanted to remove this and use it elsewhere. This uses an L1430P connection, and that's because this whole outlet is rated to 7,200 watts or 240 volts and 30 amps. If I need to direct wire to the inverter, I have an L1430R connection right here. So that way I can take my own cables and connect this to whatever I want, or even just put my own outlets directly on this. Then underneath I have my solar cable sticking out. I have 2 inputs that are wired in. The wiring diagram is extremely easy to follow. There's only 1 spot for the battery cables to go, 1 spot for the AC output to go. There's 2 spots for the solar to go, and then 1 spot for the AC input to go if I wanted to charge this from grid power. To get power to these outlets, I'm going to flip on this breaker and then make sure that the switch is turned on the left side of the inverter. give it a second, and then these little red lights are going to turn on, and that tells me we have single phase on each leg here and then split phase in this outlet right here. Seriously, just like that, anybody can do this. I had this on a U-line cart. I've had this cart for years, and it's incredible how much weight it can hold. This is a 36-inch by 24-inch cart, and it can hold like 1,000 pounds. It's got these big wheels on the bottom that I added, so that way I can roll it around anywhere easily. So if I want to see what's going on with the batteries and be able to tell if one of them is getting unbalanced from the others, all I have to do is download the What Cycle app and then connect to these via Bluetooth. You're not going to be able to monitor these over Wi-Fi. You have to be within the Bluetooth range in order to see what's going on, but at least when you get close, you can see if there's anything going on, if there's any issues with the batteries. Generally speaking, I actually prefer the option without Bluetooth, because just by putting a screen on like this and having a basic system that has no communication, it usually works without any problems at all. So checking on the app, I can see that each one of these batteries is close to about 60% state of charge, with the lowest being at 59% and the highest at 62%. That range is close enough to each other that I'm not concerned at all, but I want to charge this off solar and see what happens as we put a charge into this, as well as discharge it. I've got four 400-watt solar panels connected to this, and then we have the DC on right here. That turns on the solar input for the inverter or the charge controller inside of the inverter, and that's going to start sending power to the batteries. So now we can see here we have 120 volts at the VMP rating because the panels are making power. That's going from the solar into the inverter, and then from the inverter out to the batteries. I have this in lead acid mode because you don't want to program this for communication unless you're using EG4 batteries. Because these are just basic batteries, I just leave it in lead acid mode because they'll fully charge and discharge themselves without any issues. This is actually how most people use this inverter. And by going through the settings here, we can see how much power is going into the batteries. Currently getting 1.2 kilowatts of charge into the batteries, which is pretty good considering that I have 1600 watts connected, so we're getting 75% output right now. One of the biggest reasons why I do recommend this DIY setup more than any other is that this inverter will turn itself back on and continue running these AC outlets even after the batteries have gone to 0%. This is called dark start. So if the batteries run to 0% and it's say 3 in the morning, once the sun is hitting the solar panels, say at 9 a.m., and this is getting enough charge, once the batteries reach about 10 to 20% state of charge, this will automatically turn back on and continue running the outlets. This is one of the reasons why I use this setup at my off-grid cabin, is because we get bad weather in the mountains up there. And so even if we lose power for a day or two and the solar panels don't recharge the batteries enough, once it does get to the point of recharging the batteries enough, we know it's going to turn the whole cabin back on, continue running the fridge, everything that we need there without having to monitor and control it. I can't monitor the batteries via Wi-Fi, but I can monitor the EG4 6000 XP from Wi-Fi. By putting this screen up here, I can see exactly how much power is coming in, which, in case you didn't know, power is actually a technical term that means watts or kilowatts. We've had 131 watt hours total go into this, and that's because we've only been running this for a few minutes. But I'll be able to see exactly how much power has come in and gone out of the system, monitoring it with this screen. Like I explained it early on in the video, other people such as Will Prowse have had issues with these batteries getting imbalanced, and basically one discharges while the other one is not discharging, and then it tells the other battery to eventually start sending extra power to the one that's at a lower state of charge. Definitely really weird, and I haven't experienced that. But to see if we can replicate that, I'm going to put this large 240 volt load by charging my Walrus unit off of the 6000 XP with these batteries. By comparison, that is almost $2,000 more than this whole setup right here. But the Walrus has a much larger inverter and a little bit bigger battery, but it uses NMC batteries, which means you're not going to get as many life cycles, maybe only 2,000 cycles compared to 6,000 cycles compared to the watt cycle batteries. And the solar input on the 6000 XP or 12,000 XP is far better than what you can get on the Walrus setup. I'm gonna go ahead and get this plugged in. So right now I can see I'm using 65% of the total 6,000 watt capacity to send power over to the Walrus. If we scroll through here, I can see I'm getting 1.65 kilowatts from one leg, and then from leg 2 is another 1.65 kilowatts. So in total, I'm pulling about 3.3 kilowatts from the batteries. And since it's a total 16 kilowatt hour capacity, I could run that for approximately 5 to 5.5 hours, Of any solar setup, the batteries are going to be the most expensive part. That's why these watt cycle batteries are such a good option, because they're very affordable at either $400 to $500 per pack. And you can have up to 16 of these batteries in a group, where you put 4 in group A, 4 in group B, and so on. Run those 4 groups to a bus bar, then that bus bar to the inverter, and you've got a ridiculously large battery pack. So we can see now that 2.3 kilowatts is actually what's getting pulled from the batteries themselves. And then if we cycle over to the solar, we're getting the other 1.2 kilowatts from there. So it's solar and battery going to the load. Let's see if we're having any issues with imbalance in these batteries now that we got such a heavy discharge going on them. This one says it's pulling 575 watts. This one's pulling the exact same there, and the exact same here on battery 4. So they're all pulling equally, and they have a very slight different state of charge, just like we had at the very beginning of this test. All right, this has been running for about an hour and a half. Let's go ahead and check these to see if there's any imbalance. 41%, 41%, 41%, and 42%. There's a lot of data that other people have online. I think it's on the DIY solar forum, where they're saying that they are getting an imbalance in these batteries. But Watt Cycle said that after September that issue is supposed to be resolved. So I'm assuming that my batteries that I have here have that resolution in it. But if you ordered yours before September, I'd definitely reach out to them and give them the serial numbers and see if your batteries are affected by that. If your batteries don't have the Bluetooth option, then connect them in a 48 volt setup, do a large discharge, and then check the voltage of each battery individually. There's a chance that'll give you a readout if one state of charge is different than another. It's not always reliable to go based on voltage, but it can help. Regardless, for my setup, I haven't had any issues with my watt cycles. I like being able to connect to the Bluetooth setup so I can see what's going on, but it's truly not necessary because I have this screen here and they seem to be balancing just fine. So I would probably opt to go for the cheaper option. That's going to save me $400 per battery pack, which is going to add up very quickly. If you'd like to build your own system like this, then I'll have links in the description down below with any coupon codes available. That also does help support the channel, and I greatly appreciate everyone who does that. If this is your second time being on my Minuteman Solar YouTube channel, I would appreciate it if you subscribe, but either way, if you made it this far in the video, definitely smash the like button. And if you like this video, I think you'll also like this one. This is a very interesting setup, and I think you'll want to check it out. If you have any questions on what setup's going to be the best for you, I do consultations for people to find out exactly what system is going to be the most affordable for your goal. Just shoot me an email with your name, address, how many kilowatt hours you used each month for the last 12 months, and your overall goal of what you want that system to do, and then ideally your budget as well. We can't build a $50,000 system on a $10,000 budget. But if we look at the right options, you may be able to start small and eventually grow your system to reach the goals that you have.